And now that the government is reopened and this threat to our economy is removed, all of us need to stop focusing on the lobbyists and the bloggers and the talking heads on radio and the professional activists who profit from conflict and focus on what the majority of Americans sent us here to do. And that's grow this economy, create good jobs, strengthen the middle class, educate our kids, lay the foundation for broad-based prosperity, and get our fiscal house in order for the long haul. That's why we're here. That should be our focus. Now, that won't be easy. We all know that we have divided government right now. There's a lot of noise out there, and the pressure from the extremes affect how a lot of members of Congress see the day-to-day work that's supposed to be done here. And let's face it, the American people don't see every issue the same way. But that doesn't mean we can't make progress. And when we disagree, we don't have to suggest that the other side doesn't love this country or believe in free enterprise or all the other rhetoric that seems to get worse every single year. If we disagree on something, we can move on and focus on the things we agree on and get some stuff done.
Obama wants you to ignore bloggers, activists, and radio talk show hosts who are demanding fiscal responsibility after the signing the bill to end the debt ceiling and partial government shutdown. I love how they said that. The government's open again, as if it was shut down. He lectures people not to listen to bloggers, activists, talk radio hosts who have merely been demanding some sort of fiscal sanity in D.C. It's laughable considering this is the same man who recently said that raising the debt ceiling doesn't increase debt. So it really audacity, right? I mean, the way some of these journalists are looking, it's almost as like the father's telling the children, the journalists, the press corps, not to question anything. What a jag-off. You know what I mean? It's like, I love Stefan Molyneux's comparison to a heroin addict. They want to be able to keep spending money, and screwing over future generations who are going to be born into all this debt. And they just want to keep it going. And he says he cares about the future. So what a piece of shit, man. I'm sorry, but it's just like, I mean, dude, he insults our intelligence by saying something like this. You know, God forbid there's actually some kind of actual political discourse besides what is dictated throughout D.C. I like this comment, though. If he's saying don't listen to the bloggers, then our blogging must be working just fine. So I guess that's positive news, right? If you want to change something, go out there and win an election. Obama taunts GOP hours after averting catastrophic catastrophe over debt ceiling deal. So, I mean, I don't think the guy's passed the budget, and however many the 2 terms or however long it's been, I don't think he's actually passed the real legitimate budget. So, and he's blaming whatever, the right and the left, it's all bullshit anyways, but it's just like he's blaming one side because they don't want to have this private health care insurance bill forced on them. And so for trying to do that and to call his bluff, well, no, he wasn't bluffing because he was willing to have all of his constituents, people that are on welfare and stuff like that, basically I'm not bashing people that are hard, are falling on hard times. There's, like I said, people out there that will not find jobs. The jobs don't exist, so he talks about unemployment and creating jobs in the middle class. He's helping to destroy the middle class, just like Bush, just like people before him, Clinton. But I saw this here, and it could be circulating, could just be disinformation. But I would imagine that there was some truth to it because it seemed like they were willing to pull people's Social Security, USDA. Letter indicates Obama regime could unleash millions of food stamp zombies across America next month. And this was basically, according to them here, they were sending out letters directing states to withhold the EBTs for next month of November. So they were ready to do this. They're ready to play this game, yet they're willing to spend millions of dollars on defense and subsidies from pharmaceutical companies. So, I mean, whether they stayed open or not, it's a lose-lose situation overall. People who have, like I said, fall between the cracks, don't have any much to really stand on or fall back on, they would get screwed. And then you got people that are going to be forced on this Obamacare, right? And so that's a big loss for everybody too, for Americans. So Obama says shutdown crisis left no winner. Well, he'd be right? Nobody won except for the private health insurance companies. Well, that will now consolidate and force people to have it. So he actually said that America's political dysfunction had encouraged its enemies and dismayed its friends. So like I said, any kind of real political discourse, which I'm not sure if there was one, but maybe there was, just between whether you want a huge bureaucracy, a monopoly on private insurance companies, or if you want to get kind of screwed over on the current healthcare system of private insurance companies. Now, do you want big insurance companies, or do you want smaller insurance companies? Well, really the answer is you shouldn't want any insurance companies. I mean, nobody really wins, right? Americans overwhelmingly think U.S. heading in the wrong direction, says poll. So as long as, to me personally, as long as governments exist, and the United States government exists, and D.C. exists, then we're always going to be heading in the wrong direction, and people will always be losing. It sounds pessimistic, but I don't know. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I don't want to tell you lies or something that it's coming around the corner, there's going to be a revolution, brother, and we're going to restore the republic, right? Ex-Navy SEAL says government provoking vets to bring on martial law. He participated in the Million Vet March last weekend on Tuesday, told Fox he thinks the government is trying to provoke veterans into a situation where martial law may be used. He says they want to discredit the military and get us to do something stupid so they can lock us down. It's like I said before, if there is some kind of revolution, it will be co-opted by the same powers that be, and they will be able to use people like that, patriots and all that, to restore the republic. And really what they'll get is they'll be able to set up a new scam, a new debt system, or they can just keep circulating people's hard-earned money through this debt-issued paper currency. A point I wanted to make is something I thought about this morning, was that when people say that the system will collapse, will be because of incompetence, and I've made the claim that it's not, right. If the system collapses, it's not because of incompetence. It's because that's part of the plan. If the system is up and running and continuing to run, it's not because it's competent people and it's a competent system. It's because that's part of the plan. So who knows when they're going to pull the plug, but there will be a reason for it. But whenever they do it, they will have people that will be willing to kill Americans. That's right. Apologist for assassination of Americans to be named as new Homeland Security Chief, says USDA. The key architect of the counterterrorism policies to become Homeland Chief. Obama plans to nominate former Pentagon Attorney Johnson as the next Secretary of basically Homeland Security. U.S. citizens are legitimate military targets when they take up arms with al-Qaeda top. He said that U.S. citizens do not have immunity when they are at war with the United States. He says only the executive branch, not the courts, is equipped to make military battlefield targeting decisions about who qualifies as an enemy. I guess we're talking about CIA drone strikes, but DHS advisor says Tea Party has Christianist xenophobia. White identity types have problem with black president and brown Mexicans. So there you go, from Aaron Klein. He further charged some white identity privilege types have a problem with black president, I guess a mulatto president, and brown Mexicans. I guess that's instead of mestizos or white Mexicans. I don't know, whatever. Xenophobia is easier for you to understand on your own, but it generally manifests itself in anti-immigrant policies, of which Islamophobia today inside the United States is just one subcomponent for some white identity privilege types that have a problem with a black president. White identity, so I guess, because, like I said before, people don't identify with race anymore because we're all just a big happy family now. We're just the human race. So I guess that means if you racially identify with yourself, you identify with a race, that's white identity. So, I mean, if you're black, you can call yourself an African American. If you're Mexican, you can call yourself Hispanic or American or Mexican American. You can call yourself an Asian American. But if you're white, you don't call yourself a European American. You're just an American. But don't you dare ever say that America, is a white country, or was, or ever will be, or ever should be. So I guess maybe we should just pack up our bags and go away. House stenographer explains meltdown. This lady, I saw on all the headlines and stuff like that about a rant, and it made no sense, but she spoke very clearly which he said basically she says that the country was not one nation under God because something about it being founded by Freemasons. But she said, "This is why I did it last night." Her husband chimed in, says he's proud of his wife. Iran botches man's hanging and plans a do-over if at first you don't succeed, right? So, and this, of course, is to demonize people that actually carry out justice against stuff. Like in the United States, they go ahead and they punish everybody, and usually there's people that don't have money. They can't go through the court system because that's what you have to have. You have to have money to get through the justice system. They call that justice. Whereas over there, if you're a banker and you got a lot of money and you screw people over, you get hung. So I guess it violates human rights. You should be able to screw people over and get away with it. That's the American way. Krokidial is not a threat. DEA refuses to recognize flesh-rotting homemade heroin as a problem for the U.S. despite reports of these cases across the country. So, doctors are shocked at the rapid spread of the U.S. amid fears of an epidemic, and they believe to be ingesting heroin. I was looking for some more pictures. I didn't see any more, but maybe we'll find some here. The sisters who are the first proof that the Russian flesh-eating cannibal drug Krokidial is in the U.S. They're from Joliet, Illinois. It's a mixture of codeine and toxic ingredients, including gasoline and lighter fluid. I saw some. I guess you can call them guys. There was a dude and he was wearing these pink pants that were painted on and whatever. I'm not going to go into it, but basically two gay guys or want to be transgenders and and they're buying like this cold and flu medicine. And the cashiers were like, "No, you can't do it." And he was arguing, "I have a right to. I'm over 18." So apparently, I guess they said he's cut off after that because he's been going in there buying it to get high. So. And this is what happens when you make it really hard for something like a natural like pot to be out there. I mean, at least with pot. I mean, I guess you'd rather have them do more productive things at their time. But this is what happens. Like with meth, you have to come up with all this crap because they make certain ingredients harder to get. So you're making a cocktail of all this crazy shit. It's 10 times worse. But they have to make it harder to get things like pot or whatever, or regular heroin or regular meth because it makes it more expensive and that's more lucrative for the CIA, for the banks who launder all the money, for the government themselves. 1 million died from Afghan heroin drug production, 40 times higher since the NATO operations. Yeah, from October 9th, the United Nations is saying Afghanistan risks becoming a full-fledged narco state. Well, that's what it is, right? I mean, that's their economy, so they should be able to do that. The only problem is that it's illegal in the United States, and yet you have troops that were sitting there and guarding this, and they say to get their local economy up. But they're going to sit there and going to circulate it through Turkey, through Europe, and into the United States, and they're going to say, no, you can't do that, and it'll be illegal, and then make them even more money off the court fees. So it's a big scam, nice big business. But hey, it was mission accomplished. That's what he meant when he said that, mission accomplished. 8th grade girls discovered high on new form of meth at Texas middle school. They were acting zombie-like in their middle school. And political law enforcement revenue collectors investigating where the drugs came from. Maybe they came from the same place LSD came from. Officials seeking source of lethal heroin mixture. And this is back in 2008. But basically it's a hybrid pharmaceutical street drug. Coming from Mexico, probably being aided by the government, brought into the Midwest. Air Marshal has been arrested and accused of taking photos under women's skirts in Nashville. Condom booze basket gets teacher fired. She denies giving students naughty prom gift. She rented out a penthouse for 15 students. The authorities found out when they posted an Instagram of the picture of condoms and alcohol was saying, "Thank you, Mrs. D." And then you have here a principal raped boy in the school office while the parents were outside, so the cops. A woman studying to be a nun gave birth to a convent in secret and smothered the baby so that no one would hear him cry. Me personally, I think nuns, anybody that's, priests, they should be able to have children, have families, man. Should be able to have lives too. Teacher at a Catholic school is fired on her wedding day after marrying her lesbian lover of 14 years. Finishing up here, Walmart fires a man after he tries to stop an assault. Apparently he violated its nonviolent policy. Doctors postpone a stage 4 breast cancer patient's radiation treatment because it clashed with a football game. It's kind of like the dad who shot his son recently over a football game.